The time is upon us for networks and streaming services alike to dole out some holiday specials, holiday cheer, and some of them not having to do with the holidays at all, just sort of a nice excuse to put on some special event programming. Let's talk about some of the recent TV specials. Hey guys, Dan here. This is Dan Reviews It, and welcome to TV News and Reviews. And it's a special edition. We're talking about the network and streaming specials of late. I try to do this every year right around the holiday season. Usually there's a couple of Christmas things in the mix. This year it's sort of split. There's two specific holiday things, and then the other two just sort of event programming, if you will, that is new to us. So we're going to talk about the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special on Disney Plus. We're going to talk about the Harry and Meghan miniseries, docuseries, I guess we should say, on Netflix. We've got Beauty and the Beast, a 30th celebration, which aired on ABC last week, but you can see it on Hulu or Disney Plus now. And also a special episode for the holidays of Murderville, the Will Arnett sort of improv show on Netflix. So we're going to tackle all of that. We're going to skip the news, because, just sort of go right into the special programs here. So it's just an all-review edition of TV News and Reviews. And let us start with the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special. This is on Disney Plus. It premiered actually right around Thanksgiving. So this one has been out the longest of all of them that we're going to talk about. But I figured rather than lump it in with the regular shows that I do every week, it's definitely more of the special variety, so figured we would save it for this. And yes, this is, of course, the Guardians of the Galaxy from the famous Marvel movies. They have made two so far. There is going to be a third Guardians movie, third and final, from what I understand, which is next summer. I think that opens in May. But the crew has been in many of the other Avengers tales. In fact, we most recently saw them in Thor, Love and Thunder this past summer. So this features all of the people really that are currently in the Guardians of the Galaxy, including Chris Pratt, Dave Bautista, Karen Gillan, Pom Klementieff, and Vin Diesel, and Bradley Cooper. And a few other surprises. Kevin Bacon plays himself in this special, for example. And when I first heard about this, I thought, okay, maybe they're doing like a riff kind of on the famous Star Wars holiday special back in the early 80s, which, has been famously, kind of passed around on VHS for years and years and years. And I think you can finally get it. I don't know if it's on Disney Plus or something, but I think it's pretty readily available, ever since the advent of YouTube. But for a while, that was sort of like the hush-hush, thing in Star Wars. I thought maybe they were going to kind of do something like that. No, it doesn't turn out to be like that. They're taking a real story, that they're actually spending some time with, and they've written some really cool original music for the special. So I don't think it's quite like that Star Wars special. I think they're really trying to achieve, something that may be essential holiday viewing now for many folks. It's quick at just about 48 minutes or so. And this was written and directed by James Gunn. And of course, he just sort of left the Marvel world to take over the DC universe, which there's been a lot of controversy sort of back and forth with that, including just the other day, Henry Cavill, who was back as Superman in one of the recent DC movies. He's out again as James Gunn takes over, but whatever. But look, this guy has shaped the Guardians universe for years now. And one notable absentee is Zoe Saldana. She, spoiler alert for a movie that came out a few years ago, she did die in one of the Avengers movies. However, she is in the cast for Guardians 3, so I don't know if that's in flashback form. I don't know, but she's not present in this special. And in fact, really Groot and Rocket are barely present in this special, which is kind of a bummer because Rocket is one of my favorite Marvel characters. Bradley Cooper is honestly probably my favorite actor working today, and I just love him. So, of course, I love it, when he's in it. Vin Diesel as Groot, I could sort of take or leave. But really, the focus here is I mean, a bit of Chris Pratt for sure as Peter Quill, but mostly I think it's about Dave Bautista as Drax and Clementif. I never pronounce her last name correctly as Mantis, um, and they end up finding out about Christmas through Peter talking about it and stuff, Star Lord, and so they take a journey to the United States and Earth in general, and kidnap Kevin Bacon as a present for Peter. So, Kevin Bacon, like I said, plays himself very well, and he sings at the end as well. Of course, if you don't know, he has a famous band called the Bacon Brothers with his real life brother. But he is singing at the end a great tune. The two songs they wrote for this, very, very well done. The Old 97s is sort of a house band for this. Not, a huge like hit making band, but I think a favorite of James Gunn. And a lot of the music here, I think, hand selected by James Gunn. I heard that he actually picked a lot of the music first and then sort of came up with the idea for the story. But, there's the Smashing Pumpkins and the Pogues and a bunch of really sort of hip alternative type holiday stuff from the 90s is on the soundtrack here. But look, this is a lot of fun. Back when I was a kid, the special presentations at Christmas were, the Charlie Brown Christmas special, Garfield, and that's really well, and of course, like the classics, they still run today, Frosty the Snowman, and Year Without a Santa Claus, and all that kind of stuff. But it's been really probably a long time since we've had a major motion picture franchise do a holiday special. I'm sure there's been some since Star Wars that I'm not remembering, but it's pretty cool. So if you are a part of the Guardians universe, if you are into the Marvel stuff, the Avengers stuff, I think there's certainly enough here for everybody, even if you're not, but I think you will get more out of it if you are. In fact, there's sort of, and I'm not going to spoil anything, but I think you want to probably watch this before you do watch Guardians 3, because there's a couple of things that happen in this that may sort of take shape in a future installment. But at the same time, even if you've never seen anything with the Guardians, they actually catch you up pretty well in the intro. So I liked this a lot. I thought it was funny. I definitely wanted more Groot and Rocket, though, for sure. Two of my favorites. But who knows? Bradley Cooper might have been off doing other things. I know he's directing some movie that's coming out next year. But in any event, I leave the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special with a B+. Up next, we will talk about Harry and Meghan. This is on Netflix, and this, of course, is not holiday specific, but released right around the couple of weeks after Thanksgiving, a couple of weeks before Christmas. In fact, Netflix doing something odd with this, not releasing all the episodes at once. They did this in 2 3-episode chunks. So there's 6 episodes total, and it really is just a look at Prince Harry, the Duke of Sussex, and Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, and gives us an intimate look into how they met, how their relationship has evolved, their sort of exit from the royal family, and moving to North America. So look, full disclosure, I don't care about the royal family. I really never have. I always sort of thought the obsession with it, with them, was a little bit stupid. But I have to say, I like a lot of the media that we've gotten from that family. Like, I really loved that movie Spencer that came out a couple of years ago with Kristen Stewart, and sort of, things involving the royal family. I guess I kind of like Princess Diana more than anything else. And in the same way, I sort of like Harry and Meghan, because they sort of are not wanting to be a part of that royal family, just like Diana, in the 90s. But with that being said, I have, not seen that Oprah interview they did very famously. I've been following peripherally, So for me, a lot of this stuff was new information. And it goes mostly chronologically. So, I didn't watch the whole thing, all 6 episodes. In fact, the other 3, I think, just went up yesterday. But the first 3 went up last week, so I watched a couple of those. And, so it's talking all about how they met and the courtship and how quickly they sort of fell in love with each other and X, Y, and Z. And the backdrop to that is, of course, because Harry specifically has been in the media his whole life, and Meghan Markle was an actress beforehand, so she's got a lot of old videos too. But there's a lot of photos and video footage of them, younger and sort of at the start of their relationship and all of that. This, I think, is probably going to appeal more to people who are invested in the royal family, but at the same time, I'm not sure there's anything new here. Now granted, 6 hours is a long time. The Oprah interview, I think, was 2 hours. And that was more of an interview format. So there's back and forth with Oprah. This is kind of just them telling their story, and that's another sort of issue I have with it is all through their lens, and it makes sense, but I think they're going to be protective about their images and what they say. And there's a couple of spots where they interview other people, but for the most part, they're either people that are still currently in the royal family or serving for the royal family, or friends of Harry or friends of Meghan. So it's like, yeah, they're not going to say, oh yeah, this was a bad idea, or this thing they did made them look bad. It's all sort of very flowery and very pro the Sussexes, and that's fine. But for me, it left me a little bit, okay, this is very one-sided. Like, at least in an Oprah interview, you may have her say, okay, now what about this thing that happened? Whereas this is them kind of shaping it. And I have similar problems when like the Michael Jordan documentary, The Last Dance, he executive produced it. So obviously it's going to be through a certain lens. Look, all documentaries, I think, have a lean one way or the other for the most part. I think it's hard to get one that is sort of right down the middle and shows both sides. But look, I've always sort of felt bad for Harry. He was never going to be really in line for the throne. And so he's, I think, kind of the outcast anyway in that regard. And look, I never watched the show Suits, but I sort of vaguely knew who Meghan Markle was, and she always seemed like a cool chick. So I've always sort of rooted for these guys, but it doesn't mean I want to sit down and watch 6 hours of their version of their lives. I think the old video stuff is cool. The pictures are cool. But I feel like this may be more tailor-made for diehard fans of, the monarchy and that sort of thing. But is there information for them in there that they don't already know? I'm not sure. A lot of it was new to me about their courtship and stuff, but maybe if you're, what do they call it, Anglophile, maybe you know all of this already. So I'm not exactly sure that this is really going to be that informative to the people who care the most about the royal family and these guys. So, and 6 hours just seems so bloated too, to me. So I will leave Harry and Meghan with a C-. All right, next we will talk about a live special that just aired on ABC the other day, and you can stream it now on Disney Plus and Hulu. It is Beauty and the Beast, a 30th celebration. And I've talked about this in my news segments on TV News and Reviews a few different times, because there was all these different casting decisions and stuff. But one thing I never sort of got was why they're talking about it's the 30th celebration when the movie came out in 91. It was 31 years is what it would be. Aladdin came out in 92, not Beauty and the Beast. But I read a little more into this, and they're apparently claiming that the 30th is in regards to the groundbreaking Oscar nomination for Best Picture of the year, which Beauty and the Beast was the first animated film to ever be nominated for Best Picture. All right, I guess if that's the game we're playing, then sure, 30 years of that. Although again, to kind of be fair, the Oscar nominations come out at the beginning of the year, so the 30th anniversary would be like January of 2022. But whatever, this is really splitting hairs and has nothing to do with my grade. I just think it's odd to call it that. But so this was unlike any of these sort of live performance, Broadway type shows that we've seen over the years. Last year, they did Annie live on NBC, and I reviewed that for the holiday special show. But in the past, they've done, obviously Grease and Rocky Horror Picture Show and Sound of Music and stuff like that. So this was not like live. It was filmed live in front of an audience, but only partially. They did something very unique here. And I think we'll talk about maybe the pros and the cons of this in a second. But it's partially animated in terms of like showing the actual original movie, showing straight out scenes from that, and then partially, live in front of a studio audience and with a whole new cast. So you had the singer Her playing Belle, Josh Groban playing the Beast, Shania Twain doing Mrs. Potts, Martin Short, Lumiere, David Alan Greer as Cogsworth, Rita Moreno as the narrator, Joshua Henry as Gaston, and down the line. And there's some sort of, cameos by some of the original people, including Paige O'Hara, who played Belle, voiced Belle in the original. And of course, we heard her voice all over this special because they played a lot of the movie. So rather than just play us the movie, and rather than just do a live performance, because this was on Broadway for a good decade, they decided to sort of blend the two. And I'll be honest, I'm not sure that it entirely worked for me. The voices, were great. We heard a lot of great singing. Shania Twain doing Beauty and the Beast. The song was great. And Be Our Guest was very cool to see live in a stage setting. I've never obviously seen the stage show. So it was cool to see sort of how they pulled that off. And, Her is a great singer. But it was just so kind of odd, and then between scenes, Rita Moreno would come on and say, oh yeah, and then they did this, or oh, and all of the animators that worked on this, and they'll show people doing the sketches and stuff, and it's like cool old footage and stuff. It's kind of though what you would find on like a bonus feature on the Beauty and the Beast, 30th anniversary DVD or Blu-ray or something. So look, I applaud ABC for doing something a bit different with the, live Broadway show that we've been seeing for many years. But it didn't fully connect for me. If anything, it sort of reminded me how amazing that original movie is. And not that anybody did a bad job. Martin Short was, great, and Shania Twain was very good, and all of that. But seeing so many clips of the original movie, I'm just reminded how great that it was. And I'm a fan of the Emma Watson live version they did, or live action version they did a few years ago in theaters. I saw it, I think, 3 times in theaters, and I loved it. It was one of my favorite movies of the year. So it can't really quite, in my mind, compare to that either. So look, I can appreciate that they were trying something different here. Did it work? I'm not really sure. But at least they didn't just give us, the standard old thing. So I will leave Beauty and the Beast a 30th celebration with a B-. There's, obviously the songs are still great, and the plot is still great and everything. But yeah, it was just sort of missed the mark a bit for me. All right, finally, we've got the Murderville special on Netflix. This is called Who Killed Santa? A Murderville Murder Mystery. And this is based on a TV show that I reviewed early this year, called Murderville, with Will Arnett. And basically the plot of the show and of this special is that a new celebrity guest comes in every time as like a trainee, but sort of playing themselves as a trainee. Like Conan O'Brien, oh, I left the talk show game to work as a cop. So people on the set, Will Arnett as the main detective, Terry Seattle, they all have scripts, but the celebrity that comes in does not have a script. So for them, it's improvisation, and there's obviously a few improvs from Will Arnett and some of the rest of the crew based on what the celebrities say. But for the most part, all of the evidence and all that stuff is scripted, and the setups are scripted. So it's Jason Bateman and Maya Rudolph teaming up for this one because it is a special sort of double episode. It's like 45 minutes or something. And there's a couple other special guests that I won't reveal if you do want to watch it. But it's, just like any sort of Murderville mystery, but with Santa Claus, who is played by someone famous that I won't mention here. But because they had to sort of pad the time, I think, because there's still only 3 suspects like there is in a normal Murderville episode. The padding on the front and the end are, maybe I could have done without that. But I do like that they sort of brought Jason Bateman in first, and then after interviewing one of the people, they bring Maya Rudolph in, and then Jason Bateman has to like catch her up, but she has no idea what the show even is. Because I'm assuming they filmed this probably before the show even went on Netflix. So she like didn't know anything about what was going on, and just that it was kind of improv sort of thing. But it's fun to watch them play off each other, but I have the same exact problems with this special that I had with the series on the whole, because I think I only gave the show like a C+ or something, and that's right about where I am for this special, because it's fun to kind of watch people crack each other up and stuff, but it goes so off the rails so often that at some points I'm just like, okay, let's get back to the case or whatever. Where, look, I get it. These guys are all really good friends, Jason Bateman and Will Arnett specifically, but Maya Rudolph, they've known her for 20 years too. And so they're all kind of riffing off each other and stuff. And it's funny, but at the same time, it really kind of slows down the pace of the special. And I sort of felt that same way when I watched the original episodes back in January. So I leave the Murderville holiday special with a C+. All right, so in a few days, we'll be back with a new TV news and reviews. I've got Willow on there from Disney+. I know that's been a hot one lately, and a few others. And really, there's only a few more episodes of TV news and reviews before the end of the year, and my best and worst of 2022. So that should be coming up before too long as well. So thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time on Dan Reviews It. Bye.